MeMonster.
Chapter 316. Immediately after I returned to Seoul, I began preparing for the future. First, I purchased an entire block of single houses in Hannam-dong and started renovating their basements. Although the future was no longer the one I knew, if the general storyline hadn't changed, there wasn't much time left before most of the world transformed into the demon realm. With the help of young dwarf's dexterity, I designed the blueprint for an underground city. Then, using Buster Call, I summoned Genkalope's vessel. Together with Genkalope's maintenance ships, I began construction. Because the blueprint was top-notch, according to the ship's crew, and because Yuyan Ha lent me all the equipment I needed, the assembly progressed quickly. What's this? Today, I brought Boss to the construction site. Watching a robot make parts with its laser hands, Boss widened her eyes in awe. I'm building this place to prepare for the Demon Realm transformation. Yes, we needed to prepare to overcome the existential crisis and achieve the happily ever after we all deserved. This is the crystal that can stop the transformation. I took out Ekaterina's purification crystal. It was something Prehi from the recorded past had left to me. However, its effects were limited to a radius of 5 kilometers from the crystal. This crystal can also purify the soil and the air. With it, we can easily produce crops here underground. According to Horner, we could even build an artificial sea using this crystal. If we could cultivate soil with the crystal and grow crops like meat-flavored corn from the Tower of the Wish, we wouldn't have to worry about food shortages. That's interesting. Boss nodded. Tilling! At that moment, I received a video call on my smartwatch. Excuse me for a minute, boss. The call was from Yuyan Ha. I adjusted the angle of the smartwatch so boss wouldn't be seen on the screen and answered. Hello? Yuyan Ha appeared as a hologram. What's up? How's the construction going? Is everything fine? Yeah, I think it'll be finished in a month. The underground city is huge, but Genkalope's crew work unbelievably fast. Thanks to the regeneration orb, the workers could work continuously without rest. You said you were using the technology of Genkalope's vessel, right? Yeah. Yuyan Ha nodded and asked cautiously, Then could you help me? Help you? Essential Dynamics is working to build underground cities in Seoul, Busan, and Ulsan, as well as in the US and Japan. Ah, really? That sounds like a good plan. I'll help you. Thank you. I'll send my people to you later. I have to go now. Ah, give me a moment. Suddenly, I remembered something. I turned my head and saw Boss staring at me with a sullen look. I muted Yuyan Ha and said, Boss, the Mountain Sage members are still locked up, right? Yes. It's time to use them. With a smirk, I unmuted the smartwatch. We've been keeping tabs on some wonderful informants. Informants? Yeah, they're called the Mountain Sage. Yuyan Ha's hologram tilted her head. Mountain Sage? The Mountain Sage? Yuyan Ha's calm voice became unusually high-pitched. I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same people. They're incredible. Oh, Yuyan Ha's cheeks flushed. She always got extremely excited whenever she discovered talent. I smiled. You can have them. That is, if you can persuade them. What do you mean by that? I'll text you the details later. Sadly, our call had to end here. Boss had been staring at me too intensely for a while. Ah, okay. I'll be waiting for your text. Yeah, bye. Bye. Yuyan Ha clenched her fists and hung up. I turned to Boss. She was pouting. What? You've been on the phone too long, and I don't want to hand them over. They tried to kill you. Ah! Her voice was filled with anger. With a soft smile, I put my hand on Boss's shoulder. That's why I'm handing them over, to find out if it was trying to kill me. The Mountain Sage members were all immune to mental interventions, and neither torture nor hypnosis worked on them. But I knew Yuyan Ha could find a way to break them. Boss said nothing, but her silence always meant consent, so I slowly reached for our hand. Now should we get something to eat? Boss's gaze dropped to our clasped hands. She slowly nodded. Let's go. I pulled her hand toward the restaurant with her favorite dish, dumplings. The last round of the Gate of Glory qualification tournament will be held in the Temple of Justice. It has been a long journey. Now the remaining 1,000 heroes are heading to the Temple of Justice. This will be the last hurdle for the countless heroes gathered there. The moment the theme of the fourth round of the qualification tournament was announced, the internet overflowed with news articles. Everyone on social media was talking about the tournament, and gambling sites began hosting real-time bets on who would be included in the final 200. These three are the judges? At the Temple of Justice, now the center of global attention, Eileen looked around the judges' waiting room. It's 4, including you, Chairman Eileen, answered her secretary. But Eileen seemed dissatisfied with the lineup. Good to see you, little one. The one who called Eileen little one was Heinkus of the 9 Stars. Eileen sat down, sighing disapprovingly. What's wrong, little one? Damn it, stop calling me little one, Eileen snapped. But she wasn't disappointed with Heinkus. He considered him well qualified to be a judge. No one was more suited than an active member of the 9 Stars. The person she had a problem with was the woman sitting next to Heinkus, Yu Yan-ha. As the chief officer of Essence of the Strait, she was known for many things, but as a hero, she was merely a high intermediate rank grade 1 at best. Eileen still couldn't understand why a weakling like Yu Yan-ha was called the Queen of Soul by so many. Hello. Eileen, hello. Yu Yan-ha lowered her head with a small smile. Eileen snorted and turned her gaze to the man on the other side of Heinkus, Yu Si-hyuk, the master of Baidu Mountain. He was busy reading a book, not even sparing Eileen a glance. It had been a while since they last saw each other, but he was still as snobby as Hevri. Ah, right, Lord Heinkus. At that moment, Yu Yan-ha's voice caught Eileen's attention. Yu Yan-ha handed what seemed to be a pill to Heinkus. What's this? Asked Heinkus. Eileen also stared at the pill with sparkly eyes. Is it vitamins? She wondered when Yu Yan-ha courteously responded, It's the cure for your side effect that we talked about before. The cure? Yes. Kim Hajin had passed on the pills he made to Yu Yan-ha and asked her to distribute them to the 9 Stars who were suffering from serious side effects. Yu Yan-ha gladly accepted.
Is this what you tried to give me last time? They're similar. Heinz stared at the pill for a while before grabbing it and putting it in his pocket. He then said bashfully, I do need to stay alive until at least the Demon Realm Gate opens. Thank you for accepting it. I should be the one thanking you. I really don't think my heart has a lot of time left, and I've been regretting declining your offer last time. Eileen turned away and began organizing the meeting papers. I like gifts. And pills, too, she muttered to herself. As she neared her 40s, she had recently grown more interested in health. Oh, I have a gift for you as well, Chairman Eileen. Of course, Yu Yan-ha was not the type to miss such an opportunity. The gift she prepared for Eileen was a box of top-class medicinal pills. Each pill contained a small amount of dimensional entropy and was worth at least 100 million won. There were 60 pills in the box. Yeah, I guess I'll take it, if you so insist. Eileen hugged the gift box tightly. Well then, should we get on with the meeting to discuss how we're going to judge? Yu Yan-ha bit her lips, trying hard not to laugh at Eileen, who was beaming with satisfaction. Look, we have to pick 200 out of 1,000 people. But do we have enough time to meet all the candidates? Of course we don't. So we should first pick out the most qualified candidates and, about that, Yu Yan-ha intervened. Because of the gift she had just received, Eileen felt more forgiving than usual, so she casually asked, What is it? Without a word, Yu Yan-ha put forth an envelope. A black and a golden lotus symbol were embossed on it. Kim Hajin wrote this letter and left it to Yu Yan-ha, hoping to earn himself a spot in the final 200. This is Eileen looked at the envelope, the symbol, to be precise, and frowned. Yes, it's a letter from Black Lotus. At that moment, Hines and Yusi Hook, who had been quiet all along, opened their eyes wide. Yu Yunha glanced at them and continued cautiously, Black Lotus sent this letter to my guild. It appears that he also wants to enter the gate. What do you think? I'd like to hear your opinions. Korea, Demon Realm Gate. Cold wind swept across the land under the gray sky. It was unusual weather for April. The last round of the qualification tournament was over, and the entire selection process had ended. Black Lotus was secretly selected as one of the participants. I came to the site of the Demon Realm Gate, realizing that the 30-day deadline denoted by the gate would be over soon. Because the area around the gate had been sealed off to the public, it was very quiet. I hid myself in a nearby mountain and looked around. There were many heroes and djinns below. Heroes sought to enter the gate, and the djinns wanted to take their place. Whoosh! Suddenly, the wind blew, and with that wind, a certain existence appeared next to me. "You're here," I muttered. "Yeah, I am," Jin Sai-hook said with a nod. On her back, Alexander III's cape fluttered in the wind. I looked at the people below. On the hero's side, I saw Chen Ayun, Kim Soo-ho, Shin Jung-hak, Jin Se-yun, Eileen, Yoon Sung-ah, Rachel, Yu Jin-wong, Vast Expanse, and even Belle. In terms of strength, all of them were qualified to represent humanity. I see Belle over there. It's not only Belle, Jin Sai-hook remarked seriously. There are also a lot of djinns. Inside that gate is where the greatest devil of all time will be born. The greatest devil? Are you talking about Belle? I took out my bow and arrows. It was just as Jin Sai-hook said. There were too many djinns here in the Hamgyongdo mountain range. Below the ground, above the ground, even in the sky. They were waiting for their chance to enter the gate of the demon realm. Yes, inside the gate is where Belle will die and Baal will be born. I notched 5 dark ore arrows against the bowstring and shot them. Chwiki! The arrows flew like hawks toward the djinns. Cook, cook! I heard ear-splitting shrieks. Then, I retrieved the arrows and notched them again. Then I asked Jin Sai-hook, "Then, does that mean we're 100% sure that Baal is going to descend?" "Kill me inside the gate of the demon realm and eliminate Baal." Jin Sai-hook mimicked Belle's voice. It was quite similar, and the laugh escaped my lips. "That's what Belle said." "Yeah, I agree. If Baal does descend, we can't bring him to Earth. We'll have to end him in there. Baal in my setting was close to God. He'd probably be more powerful than Orden and would try to transform the Earth immediately. That's why we'd have to end everything inside. Once he escapes, the Earth would be destroyed for good." "What are you going to do, Jin Sai-hook?" But there was one more thing I needed to ask Jin Sai-hook. She would need to rely on Baal's powers if she wanted to connect Akaterina and the Earth. Therefore, if Jin Sai-hook did not give up on her initial goal to return to her homeland, she would have no choice but to cooperate with Baal. Belle and I will take care of that. How? I'll make sure it doesn't cause you a problem, so stay out of it. Jin Sai-hook was adamant. I nodded reluctantly and shot the arrows again. Dark ore arrows danced in the air as they flew toward the djinns. They disposed of a dozen djinns and returned to me. "Damn! Someone's shooting arrows!" "It's dark arrows! Dark arrows! That means Black Lotus! Damn it, that son of a bitch!" The djinns, cornered by my surprise attack, initiated demon transformation. But that was a bad decision. Heroes immediately detected the change in their demonic energy. Eileen was the first to jump up in the air and track down the demonic energy. Destroying her enemies with spirit speech, she was as merciless as the Grim Reaper. "What do you think you're doing here? Vermins, you'll be crushed!" And her spirit speech crushed the djinns quite literally. Yusi Hook's White Wolves jumped in, followed by Yu Jin-wong's Electric Strikes and Shin Jung-hak's Dark Flames. Jin Sai-hook. Watching the scene unfold, I called Jin Se-hook's name. She looked at me. What? I hesitated, unable to look her in the eye. I opened my mouth, then closed it. It took me a while, but I finally managed to get it out. I wanted Jin Se-hook to hear this. Can you just stay here? Jin Se-hook said nothing. I waited for her answer, but she kept her silence, and suddenly, Gwah! The Demon Realm Gate began releasing magic power. The giant magic power shook the earth and spread in all directions. The fight between the Jinns and the heroes stopped, and runic symbols rose above the slowly opening gate. I translated it with my gift. The Demon Realm Gate shall determine who among the humans gathered here qualifies to enter it. That was all there was. The moment I finished reading it, though, branch-like magic power flowed out from the half-open gate. Gwee!
Two of the many branches stretching out in all directions came this way and wrapped around Jin Se-hook and me. What the... Damn it.
We didn't even have time to react. Whoosh! The branch of magic power bound our bodies tightly and dragged us into the Demon Realm Gate without a moment's delay.
Chapter 317. Hello, we are at the opening of the Gate of Glory. Reporters from all over the world gathered in Hamgyong Province. Although they were prohibited from approaching the gate, they could film and report from a distance. On estime que la porte de la gloire. Zarban and Leonardo have been selected for the final 200. Koko ni wa mata, sekai no yumeijin ga atsumete imasu. Various languages echoed throughout the North Hamgyong Province Plaza. Noticing the countless cameras, Yu Yanha busily moved around, meeting the celebrities present. You're here too, Suvukshi? After greeting several corporate leaders, Yu Yanha found Park Soo-hook, the CEO of SH Agency, now renowned as the world's greatest. Haha, yes, I was lucky enough to receive an invitation. I'm sure it'll be fine, especially with Essence of the Straits guild members protecting us. Hearing Park Soo-hook's subtle praise, Yu Yanha smiled. As he said, many Essence of the Strait guild members, including Kim Young-jin, Yi Jin-ah, Lionel, Yohei, Shen Yuan, Ah Hae-in, and even Heinkes, none of whom were among the 200 chosen to enter the gate, were present at the scene. Still, stay alert. At least make sure you're wearing protective gear. Oh, protective gear. Park Soo-hook smiled and tapped his smartwatch. Immediately, reinforced magic power rose from the watch and enshrouded him. Yu Yanha watched and nodded in satisfaction. Park Soo-hook's smartwatch had a detailed magic enchantment courtesy of dimensional entropy. Developed by Essential Dynamics, it was the commercial version of Protect Watch. The reinforced magic power produced by the Protect Watch rivaled that of an intermediate rank Grade 1 hero. It was essentially a portable suit of armor. Unsurprisingly, its production cost and lack of materials made it worth well over 100 million won. How scary Essence of the Straits technology has become. I can't even see the end of it. Park Soo-hook shook his head in amazement. Hoo, the new technological revolution is only just beginning. Dimensional entropy, a resource with infinite potential, brought a smile to Yu Yanha's face just thinking about it. Woom! At that moment, a huge surge of magic power erupted, and the area became chaotic. It looks like the gate is opening. What a brilliant flash of mana! The earth shook and the screams of reporters and spectators mingled. Yu Yanha and Park Soo-hook quickly clad themselves in reinforced magic power, while Jin Se-chan, Kim Young-jin, and other core members of Essence of the Strait ran to Yu Yanha. Chief Officer! They came to lead Yu Yanha to a safer place, but at that moment, Kwang! Several streams of magic power shot up from the ground. Like tentacles, the streams coiled around Yu Yanha and dragged her underground before the heroes could react. Shoot! Kim Young-jin and Jin Se-chan immediately threw themselves into the crack in the ground. My head hurt and my body felt weak. It was as if I were floating on water, exhausted and drained. I couldn't see anything or sense the flow of time. Strangely, my consciousness slowly became clearer. Who I was, why I was here, what I needed to do, my understanding of the situation returned. At that moment, the sound of someone's breath reached my ears. I couldn't tell if it was mine or someone else's. I focused on the sound, trying to regain my dulled senses. I heard another breath. It became clear then it was my own. I took long breaths and moved parts of my body. Soon my eyes opened. My vision returned, and the first thing I saw was an old drawer. It was worn and moldy, with bugs crawling over it. I frowned and turned my head toward the ceiling. Keek! The bed I was lying on creaked. The ceiling was even moldier than the drawer. Am I in a prison cell? With a bewildered murmur, I sat up. Immediately, a wave of dizziness swept over me, and I fell back onto the bed. Crack! The shabby bed broke. I had no choice but to rest a bit longer. I pressed my temple for 5 minutes, then got up again. I was still dizzy, but I could move. First, I checked the room. A bed, a drawer, and a closet with 2 uniforms. Other than those, only a mishmash of items on the drawer stood out. I examined the items. A notepad, a pen, a bag, a half-eaten bento box, and an identification card. The ID card was the most eye-catching. Lorenzio's Secret Service, F-rank sharpshooter Kim Hajin, ID number 029-37102. F-rank sharpshooter Kim Hajin. I browned. I knew nothing about how the Demon Realm Gate worked. Naturally, I had no clue what situation I was in. I examined the card more closely, but there was nothing else of note. Next, I opened the drawer. A crossbow and an arrow were inside. Sharpshooter, huh? I guess I am one. I laughed inwardly and opened the second layer. It only had casual clothes. The third layer was the same. What situation am I in? There isn't even a hint? Just as I thought that, a series of messages popped up in front of me. This is the world where Baal was first born. You are participating as a supporter of this world, and your goal is the annihilation of Baal. Your variable stats have been suppressed from the effects of dimensional travel, but do not worry, it will be fixed over time, or you can hasten it through training. A total of 200 people from Earth have entered the Demon Realm Gate.
I studied the messages, then checked my stats. Strength 4 plus 1, Stamina 4 plus 1, Speed 4 plus 1, Perception 4 plus 1, Vitality 4 plus 1, Magic Power 4 plus 1. Status effect. Rejective Force is temporarily reducing your variable stats. Gift. Master Sharpshooter High Rank Composite Attribute Evolving Grade 1. Young Dwarf's Dexterity High Rank Illusion Attribute Evolving Grade 2. Random Consolidation System Intermediate Rank Spirit Attribute 4-Stage Consolidation. Constraints and Amplifications Intermediate Rank. Physique 2 of 3. Magic Dysfunction High Rank Illusion Attribute Evolving Grade 2. Random Consolidation System Intermediate Rank Spirit Attribute 4-Stage Consolidation. Status effect. Rejected Force is temporarily reducing the power of all gifts and physiques. I wasn't sure what Rejective Force was, but I checked Stigma's magic power first. Go. Thankfully, I still had all 5 streaks of Stigma. However, the weapons I stored inside Stigma were gone. Both the Desert Eagle and Aether. Wait. Hey, where are my weapons? I asked, but no reply came. I became worried. I couldn't do anything without my gear. It was then. It's time for food! Come out, everyone! Someone's loud voice rang out from outside the door, so loud the room shook. I flinched, then looked out the window. The navy sky clearly indicated it was twilight. They're eating at this time? Food! Other voices echoed. I opened the door to see what was happening. A hallway stretched out, and I saw people running in one direction.
I seemed to be in a dorm.
I'm coming! I changed into the uniform from the closet and followed them. 5 minutes later, we arrived at a cafeteria, similar to the one I saw in the Korean army in my original world. I followed what the others did. After receiving my food, I sat at a random table. "Ah, you idiot! No, you retard!" At that moment, a man who seemed to be a leader or instructor pointed at me and shouted. Everyone in the cafeteria turned to me, and I stood up straight, flustered. I reacted just as I did when I messed up in the army. "Are you a D rank? Why are you sitting at the D rank table?" "Sorry!" I realized my mistake. According to my ID, I was F rank. I jumped up and apologized. "Sit at the correct place next time, you brainless fool." "Yes, my apologies. Screw off now." I glanced at the instructor, then at the table I'd just been at. The letter D was clearly inscribed on it. I moved away and looked for the F-labeled table. Ah! In the corner, I found a table on the brink of collapse. I hurried over and sat next to someone I didn't know. Soon, a man with disheveled hair sat down as well. I looked at the man in front of me, more precisely at his uniform. On his chest was a sword-shaped nameplate, and his uniform was light green just like mine. Next, I glanced at the D-rank table. The people there had uniforms that were slightly greener. It seems the color of the uniform indicated rank. I nodded and spoke to the guy next to me. "Excuse me." He looked at me curiously. I thought about what to ask, then gave up. It didn't seem wise to ask where we were or what we were doing. "No, nothing. Do you want my share as well?" "Huh? Sure. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. After the early breakfast came morning training. I used Stigma's magic power to make it seem like my right arm was rotting so I could skip it and gather information about this world. An army. To the right of the military training ground was a large castle. According to observation and reading, it was Duke Lorenzio's castle. It was likely the military command. I turned to the left where the dorm I woke up in was located. Several college-like buildings stood there. The entire place seemed to be called the Lorenzio Knight Training Institution. Compared to it, the military training ground and dorm were where trash was stored. I walked slowly to the left. After about 500 steps, I reached a large building labeled library. Luckily, I'd found the perfect place to learn about this world. I walked in. Perhaps because of morning training, no one was inside. Let's see. History. I went to the history section and picked out several books. The information I gained from 30 minutes of reading was this. Did I possess this guy's body? I frowned, annoyed at being a common soldier. Still, I was glad to learn more about the world behind the Demon Realm gate. I stood in front of a library nearer. I still looked like myself, Kim Hajin. Then I remembered something and nodded. It wasn't that I took over someone's body. In novel terms, I had transmigrated. I was inserted into this world. I took out the notepad from my room and jotted down my current goals. Just as I finished writing, "Oi!" Someone shouted and grabbed me by the neck. "Ah! You retard! Who do you think you are? This isn't a place you can enter." Startled, I turned. A red-haired knight glared at me, his hand still on my neck. "Huh? Sorry, I couldn't resist. The difference in our strength was too great, and the knight simply dragged me away. Hold on a minute. This is the first time I've seen a soldier sneak into the library. Wait, I didn't sneak in, I just wanted to read some books. That's what sneaking in is. But shut it. With that word, my breath stopped. His grip tightened and I couldn't say another word. Just like that, I blacked out. An F-rank soldier sneaked into the library? Knight Commander Arin furrowed her brows at the unexpected report. She held the highest position in the Lorenzio Knight Training Institution and was a sworn sister of Duke Lorenzio's daughter.
Yes? We threw him into a cell for now. What would a foot soldier even read there? I'm sure he just got lost. The male knight shook his head at Aaron's question. That's what I thought at first, but we found a stack of books he was reading. Interesting. A foot soldier reading books in the library? Aaron nodded, though she snickered at the idea. If he was only reading, it isn't too big of a crime. But he is an F-rank soldier from a common background. He's not even allowed to walk up the stairs to the West Wing. Draven. Aaron interrupted and stared at him with her clear, ocean-like eyes. Draven closed his mouth and lowered his head. Don't be so tough. If a soldier acts out of line, you should first figure out what motivated him. The punishment comes afterwards. Draven didn't respond. Seeing him so obedient, Aaron smiled. Although Draven had good character and was a skilled knight, he was too concerned with social hierarchy. Aaron saw this as a shame, believing it was the only flaw preventing him from being a good leader. All right, keep him imprisoned for a week. I won't allow more than that.
Chapter 318. I was currently in a guardhouse. Well, perhaps it was a prison cell. Either way, the point was that I was locked up. Locked up and working out. Push-ups, planks, pull-ups, and more. Your strength increases by 0.1. Your vitality increases by 0.1. Your stamina increases by 0.1. As the alerts showed, my exercise was going well. I gained 0.6 points in just 36 hours. I could never have improved this quickly on Earth. I looked at the veins protruding from my forearm. At this rate, I believed I could regain my original abilities in a couple of months. Quang! Suddenly, the door burst open. Tap, tap. Heavy footsteps approached. Clang. Metal clanged against metal. A person in a robe stood in front of my cell. Are you the F-rank sharpshooter, Kim Hajin? A clear, beautiful voice flowed into my ears, one that would be unforgettable to anyone who heard it. I am, I answered. A woman in a hooded robe gave a small smile. Is it true that you broke into the library to read books? She looked at me and asked. Only then did I realize her name and status. Observation and reading had activated a little late. Iron, Knight Commander. Yes. So does that mean you can read? Was the illiteracy rate high in this world? Iron smiled broadly when I answered that I could read. Great, that's good to hear. She took out a copper plate and a card from inside her robe. I understand that only those who are competent can enter the Lorenzio Secret Service. Statistics prove that the soldiers in the Secret Service are usually a rank or two better than soldiers in other squads, Iron said, then tossed the copper plate and card into my cell. I heard it's only been 3 months since you joined the army. I examined the copper plate. Short sentences were written on it. 1:30 a.m., March 8th, a stable near the eastern gate of Lorenzio. I need a sharpshooter to guide me through the Rotio Mountains. He needs to be able to read this copper plate. The last sentence seemed odd, but I moved on to the card. It had "Supply Card" written across it in black. Can you read that copper plate? Pardon? Ah, yes, I can. 1:30 a.m., March 8th. When I read what was written, Iron smiled and continued. All right, now listen up. I'd like to hire you for a secret mission. Surely you're aware that as an F-rank soldier, your career in the army could end at any moment now that you're in jail. I listened carefully since I didn't know anything about my current situation. However, if you come back alive from this mission, I'll guarantee you a spot in the army, not just as an ordinary soldier, but as a commissioned officer. Oh, and you'll be released immediately if you accept my offer. It turned out she was asking me for help. I was wondering whether to accept her offer when several sentences popped up before my eyes. New event. Summary: Iron has chosen you as Haren's bodyguard. Difficulty: high.
Goal: escort Hajin safely to the Republic of Liaris in the south. Reward: a piece of equipment that you lost. I'll do it. I nodded immediately. Good. You'll change into regular clothes and depart tomorrow. You can get all the equipment you need from the armory with that card. Iron smiled and turned around. Her movements were graceful. As she walked down the hallway toward the exit, a guard approached and opened my cell door. You're being released, F-rank sharpshooter Kim Hajin. You'll have to fill out a short form before leaving. Kwang. The guardhouse door closed shut. Iron let out a sigh as she watched the iron door close. As always, it was too heavy and bulky for her taste. A simple magic process could have solved the issue, but whoever built it hadn't bothered. So, this is where you are. Suddenly, an annoyed voice caught Iron's attention. Startled, she turned to see her subordinate, Draven. Draven. Commander, are you up to something again? That's no way to speak to your superior. Iron put on a solemn expression, but Draven was persistent. He blocked her way, more serious than before. Left with no other option, Iron sighed and spoke. An old frenemy of mine has asked me to lend her a sharpshooter. An old frenemy? Yes. Iron smiled bitterly. I'm sure you know her as well. Did... Draven's eyes widened. There was only one person he could think of. The sister of the man executed for spreading false rumors about the prince. Draven! Exclaimed aghast. Commander! Shh. They might think we're working with the traitors. It's okay. That's why I came here specifically. Hajin, the eldest daughter of the Leon clan. Because of her brother's treacherous prophecy, someday the prince will become the devil and destroy the world. Her entire family had been killed, and she was the sole survivor. She needs a sharpshooter to help her escape. He's not even D rank. I can spare her an F rank soldier. No one will notice he's gone anyway. Iron had already tested the F rank sharpshooter named Kim Hajin. The copper plate Iron showed Kim Hajin could only be read by those with good eyesight. It was a magic item designed for that purpose. Lending her a soldier won't change her situation, but it could change ours. Draven. Iron interrupted firmly. It's something I decided, and you have no right to stop me. And I know for sure that you also are indebted to Leon. Draven fell silent. It was just as the commander said. The Duke of Leon was an ardent supporter of Arnheim's knights. He supported those with talent regardless of status and offered financial help so they could focus on honing their sword skills. Iron was one of Leon's beneficiaries. Though her and Hajin drifted apart because of something in the past, she hadn't forgotten the support she'd received from the family. Fine, Draven said. A local aristocrat and another beneficiary of Leon finally gave in. But, Commander, it'll be fine if that soldier dies during the mission, but if by any chance he comes back alive, I'll kill him myself. We need to keep this to ourselves. Iron said nothing. She passed her subordinate quietly, and Draven followed her in slow steps. New event. Summary. Iron has chosen you as Hajin's bodyguard. Difficulty, high. Goal, escort Hajin safely to the Republic of Liaris in the south. Reward, a piece of equipment that you lost. I scrutinized the details of this important mission and changed into regular clothes as soon as I left the guardhouse. I started feeling itchy again the moment I put them on. My next destination was the armory. The guards there tried to stop me at first, but stepped aside when I showed them the card just as Iron had told me. They gave me the necessary weapons. Chainmail, hunting backpack, crampons, iron crossbow, 40 bronze magic bolts. Are you all set? Yes, sir.
I picked out the best equipment from the armory. Of course, all of it was mundane at best, but I could probably make it more useful through random consolidation system. Good luck. Thank you. I exchanged greetings with the guards and left the armory.
Next, I headed to the shooting range. My mission would begin tomorrow, and I felt the need to sharpen my skills. It's big. The shooting range was 15 meters wide and 500 meters long. It seemed well maintained. I stood in a lane and took out the crossbow. I cocked and loaded a bolt, aimed at the target, and fired. Tang! Immediately after the first bolt, I shot the second. Tang! The second bolt fiercely chased after the first as if I'd shot them both at the same time. This rapid-fire technique was possible thanks to my gift. Kung! Kung! A heavy sound rang out. The first bolt landed in the center, and the second split the first in half and penetrated the target. I nodded in satisfaction. Even though my stats had decreased, the result was great. With my accuracy and stigma, I was confident I could defeat almost any enemy with a single shot. I wonder what everyone else is doing in this world. Curiosity suddenly struck me. There were a total of 200 Earthlings in this world. Did they all start at the very bottom like me? Or did some start higher up? Maybe some became aristocrats and had a better view of the world. I took out the Book of Truth to find out. Where is Kim Soo-ho in this world? I assumed this question would take up 2 streaks, which was risky now that my physical abilities were limited. But I wanted to know where Kim Soo-ho was in this world, no matter what. Kim Soo-ho is in the Republic of Leoris to the south. Oh! My eyes widened. That's where I'm going. A small laugh escaped my lips as I thanked my luck. Arenheim, March 8th of the Kairos calendar, late night at the Duchy of Lorenzio. Short blue hair and sharp features. Not even dirt and bulky armor could hide the beauty that once charmed the entire kingdom. Anyone would notice this mysterious yet filthy woman. This fact made Hajin, the last survivor of Leon, tremble in fear even more. In a stable near the castle wall, she wandered alone in fear. She managed to arrive at the Duchy of Lorenzio thanks to the help of the knights. Now she was alone. Her only companion had left to divert the enemy's attention. "Wait!" A man's shout rang out. "Hup!" Hajin hid behind a wall and covered her mouth. "Let's hit up another place. The night is still young." "Great idea! Let's go!" She waited in the dark for Aaron's help, startled by every footstep and wild animal. "How much longer do I have to wait?" Hajin felt humiliated to ask Aaron for help, but she had no other choice. Staying alive was more important than her dignity. She had asked for a sharpshooter. To escape Arenheim, she had to cross a rugged mountain range. Wait, did she? But she couldn't rule out the possibility that Aaron had betrayed her. She knew Aaron wasn't the type to go back on her word, but Hajin put her hands together and prayed for Aaron to remember all the good things the Leon clan had done for her. Then, "Is that you?" Hajin looked up. In the shadow of the castle wall stood a man hidden under his robe. Hajin felt relieved, but only for a moment. The tension rose as she began to suspect the man might be an assassin sent by the royal family. "I'm the receiver of this copperplate." He showed her in the copperplate she had given to Aaron. This proved he was on her side. But Hajin still felt doubtful, unable to deny the possibility of betrayal. "Did Aaron send you?" "That's right. I'm the pawn." "Pawn?" Hajin was confused by his word choice, but chose to believe them. She knew that if Aaron had betrayed her, she wouldn't make it to Leoris alive anyway. "Nice to meet you. I'm Renha." Hajin presented an alias and reached out her hand. "I'm Kim Hajin." The man introduced himself and took her hand. Just like that, she shook hands with the man who would become her bodyguard. Kim Hajin. It was a rather strange name, which made him seem more suspicious. Yes, that's me. But the man nodded as if nothing was wrong, making Harin feel a little more comfortable. An assassin, he seemed too relaxed. Harin asked, "You have one horse. Do you know how to ride?" Yes, I can." "Well then." Harin nodded and pulled the horse out of the stable. She was big enough for 2 people. "Let's ride her together. But before that..." Harin suddenly realized she didn't know her bodyguard's rank. "Are you..." But she stopped midway. If this man was a knight, it would be rude to ask about his rank. And if they made it out alive, it was better they knew little about each other. "Are you a sharpshooter?" So she changed her question, wanting to confirm Aaron sent a sharpshooter. The man nodded with a smile. "Yes, I'm a sharpshooter." That was enough for Harin, but apparently not for her bodyguard. He added another sentence she would have been happier without. "I'm Kim Hajin, an F-rank sharpshooter." "Pardon?" Harin's mind went blank. F-rank. Was she talking about the F-rank that she knew? The F-rank that was synonymous with trash? Dumbfounded, Harin stared at the man before asking, "Did you say F-rank?" "Yes." Only then did Harin really look at him. He was dressed nothing like a knight, more like a common soldier. Coincidentally, the man even showed her his ID card. "You can trust me. This is my identification card with my name and rank. Secret Service Soldier, F-rank sharpshooter." "This is just... You can trust me... How can I trust you?" Harin stumbled, suddenly dizzy. It was stress-induced anemia. F-rank. She grabbed her head, overwhelmed by dizziness and resentment. Why? Troubled, Harin sank to the floor of the stable.
Chapter 319. Lotio Mountain Range, stretching 1,400 kilometers in length and 240 kilometers in width, is a gigantic mountain range located between the Republic of Liors and the Arenheim Kingdom. Each mountain peak has unique environmental conditions and is filled with powerful monsters that prevent human habitation. Kindland Mountain and 7 other peaks, each over 5,000 meters high, are all part of this range. A safe road was constructed from the duchy to the Republic, but Harin, the person I had to protect, chose to go over the mountain range. That alone told me what kind of situation she was in. "Did you study up?" Harin asked. I put down the book I was reading and nodded. "Somewhat." We were currently in a stable where Harin's beloved horse was kept. I had run to a bookstore first thing in the morning to pick up a book about the Lotio mountain range and was now reading through it. Harin gave me an odd look, clearly doubting my trustworthiness and likely lamenting her situation, having to depend on a mere F-rank soldier. "It's fine if you give up," Harin said bitterly. "Lotio mountain range is infamous. It's not a place a mere soldier can survive. I'm confident in my martial prowess from my knight training, but I can't guarantee your safety on such a dangerous trip." She spoke honestly, without blaming anyone or complaining. "No, it's fine. Harin, eldest daughter of Loren clan, Devil Hunter." Harin's status, as shown by my gift, revealed a surprising detail. Devil Hunter. She was clearly someone I needed to keep an eye on. "I wonder where your confidence comes from." Harin furrowed her brows, then gulped down a bottle of water in one go. "Let's make something clear before we set out. If anything happens, I will leave you behind without hesitation." "Yes, I understand." I nodded. "Then shall we go?" Just as I said that, tsk, tsk, a square box Harin had placed in the corner of the stable emitted strange noises. The box spat out a piece of paper like a printer. Harin snatched up the paper smoothly and began to read it. "What's that?" Harin replied simply, "I asked my friend to investigate your background." Didn't people usually keep quiet about background checks? I wasn't sure whether to call her honest or shameless. Harin glanced at me and murmured, Please understand, it's just to confirm whether your identity is true or not. Ah, yes. I was curious about what background I had in this world as well, so I just sat still. After a brief moment, Hajin's eyes widened a little. You were an herbalist? Huh? Ah, yeah. Yeah? Hajin's eyes turned sharp. I had spoken too casually without thinking. Ah, my apologies. I don't know when we'll say farewell, but please don't forget your manners. Hajin gave me a displeased glare before reading the paper again. Your family? But then Hajin paused. She didn't finish her sentence. She raised her head slowly, then dropped the paper in a fluster when she met my eyes. Cahoon. Her honest reaction made it obvious that I didn't have parents in this world. The co-author made that detail consistent. Are you finished? Yes, but I want to ask again, will you really not give up? I grinned and nodded. Understood. Lanes? Hajin let out a light sigh and led her horse, Lanes, out of the stable. Meanwhile, I glanced at the paper lying on the floor. Lorenzio's F-ranked knight, Kim Hajin. Special note, has experience working as an herbalist at the outskirts of the duchy. Training records, 510 shots, 610 lookouts, 410 close combat. Has potential to be promoted to B-rank sharpshooter. Family, orphan. Came to the Lorenzo Temple at age 6 and stayed there for 10 years before becoming an herbalist. At that moment, Hajin asked, Do you really know how to ride a horse? Ah, I'll get rid of the report. Hajin saw that I had the report in my hand and burned it with her power. Then she asked again, Do you know how to ride a horse? Of course. I took the reins and led Lanes. The sky above was getting brighter. Sitting on the racing horse, Hajin thought, This sharpshooter's horse riding skill is better than I imagined. I've never seen anyone handle Lanes so well. Hing! With a cry, Lanes suddenly came to a stop. I pulled the reins back and spoke. It seems we're here. Already? Hajin hid her surprise and looked around. A sky-high mountain range filled the distant view. From the duchy to the Lodio mountain range, only 40 minutes had passed. Our travel speed was incredible. You're right. Hajin hopped down from Lane's back and undid the reins and saddle. Knowing what it meant, Lanes shook his head and clacked his hooves. Unfortunately, Lane's journey would end here. You can go now. Lane stumped the ground, clearly reluctant to leave. Hajin consoled him. You did well to get me here. You're an excellent horse, so you'll be able to live happily with an owner of your choice. With that, Hajin stood at the entrance of the mountain range. Let's go, she spoke with determination. I looked at her and nodded. I'll take the lead. The first mountain we had to overcome was Plorian. It was just like any other mountain until the 2,000-meter mark. Any higher, and a bone-chilling cold filled the air. Will you? Hajin still had doubts, but asked in a nicer tone than when we first met. Don't worry, I have good eyesight, I answered with confidence. 24 hours later, at the 2,350-meter mark of Plorian. I was lying on a cold rock halfway up the mountain. Climbing was easy thanks to parkour, but my stamina was the problem. After all, I had climbed without stopping for 24 hours. Your stamina increases by 0.3 points. Your vitality increases by 0.2 points. Your strength increases by 0.2 points. Your stamina increases by 0.1 point. Of course, my stats were rising rapidly as well. Hajin said it would take at least 3 months to get over the mountain range, so by the end, my stats should be mostly recovered. Are you okay? Hajin looked down at me and asked. I nodded silently. Your stamina is better than I thought, Hajin murmured. Then she examined the grass in the area and harvested some. She also picked up sticks for kindling and put them in her bag. As I kept staring at her, she explained, We have to gather as many herbs, kindling, and food as possible. The forest will disappear once we get up into the extreme cold. I see. I nodded and stood up. Hajin gave me a strange look. You're done resting already? Pardon? Ah, yes, let's go. My stats increased as I used up stamina, so it was better to keep myself a little tired. We picked up our bags and began to climb again. As we went higher, the greenery disappeared, replaced with icy dirt. The chilling temperature cut into my skin like blades. But with random consolidation system boosting the heat-resistant property of my clothes, I could endure the cold better. I looked at Hajin. She was enduring the cold with key reinforcement. Seeing this, I was reminded of her setting, Devil Hunter.
She was undoubtedly an important character in this world. She probably had a key role in fighting Baal. Without a doubt, she was someone I had to keep safe. Once we reached the 4,000-meter mark, the extreme chill became too harsh to endure. I had no choice but to strengthen my equipment with Stigma's magic power. "Are we going the right way? I can trust you, right?" Hajin asked, her voice frigid with cold. "Yes, just follow me," I replied confidently. But perhaps my tone provoked the mountain as snow-white flakes began to pour down. It was a whiteout. Hajin shouted, "It's a snowstorm! Be careful!" Hajin headed in the opposite direction as she said that. The person who told me to be careful was lost herself. She had lost her sense of direction in the whiteout. Seeing her heading toward a cliff, I grabbed her wrist and pulled her back strongly. Who is it? Is it you?" "Yes, it's me. I can hear you fine, so you don't have to shout. Just follow my lead." This snowstorm even had magic power mixed in, making it even harder to endure. Whew, I see a cave over there. Considering how long we'd climbed without rest, no one would blame us for taking a break here. I began to walk toward a natural cave about 500 meters away. 28 hours since we started climbing, inside a cave on Ploriun Mountain. A campfire burned as 3 skewered fish cooked above it. Hajin smacked her lips and swallowed her saliva as she watched the fish. When I stared at her, she murmured as if to excuse herself. "It's been a while since I've had meat." "Really? Campfires leave behind tracks." You've been on the run for a long time?" Hajin flinched. Her eyes trembled as though shaken by an internal earthquake. Soon she let out a deep sigh and spoke honestly. "Yes, I'm on the run. That's why I chose this mountain range." "Why are you running away?" "It's better that you don't know, in case I get captured." With that, Hajin picked up a skewer. I was a bit disappointed not to hear the full story, but I let it go for now. I looked outside the cave. The snowstorm showed no signs of ending. I turned back to Hajin. Num. She was busy eating the fish. She finished it in the blink of an eye and then looked at me with satisfied yet suspicious eyes. "By the way," Hajin sat up straight, her tone serious. "Are you really an F-rank soldier?" I replied with a grin. "You've seen the report." "An F-rank soldier can't possibly endure Plorium's extreme cold." What she said made sense, but I just gave the same answer she did. "It's better that you don't know." At that moment, a new alert popped up in front of me. A core character of this world, Devil Hunter Hajin, takes interest in you. "I see." Hajin closed her mouth. After that, we didn't talk and just stared at the snowstorm outside the cave. Soon, Hajin glanced at me and handed me a skewer. I told her she could have it. "I have another question," Hajin asked as she nibbled on the fish. "Why did you join Lorenzio's army?" It wasn't an answer I had. I wanted to stay quiet, but a good idea suddenly popped into my head. With a cough, I leaned against the cave wall and set the mood. I put on a solemn expression and made myself look a little nervous. Then, in the heavy atmosphere, I muttered, as though giving up. "To beat up a devil, maybe?" Hajin's body shook. She stared at me with wide-open eyes. I wanted to test the title Devil Hunter. It worked even better than I thought. "Devil?" "Yes," I replied nonchalantly. It didn't matter what she asked from here. Her investigation found that I was an orphan. No one knew my background before I came to the orphanage. In other words, I was free to make things up as I pleased. "You
She swallowed hard and asked again, "Do you believe in the existence of devils?" Hearing this, I put on my best act. I clenched my teeth and fists so my veins would show and pushed my hair back roughly. Hajin carefully observed my reaction. I stayed silent and shook my head. My meaning was clear. Unable to wait, Hajin approached me. "Tell me, do you believe in the existence of devils?" I gave her a sharper glare, clearly asking her not to press further. But Hajin didn't back down. We stared at each other for a few minutes, then I muttered as though giving up. "When I turned 6, it killed my family." Hajin's face turned stiff. She was probably thinking about the family background she read in my report. A human turned into a horned monster and killed everyone. I tried to act angry. "Devil is the only way I can describe him." Hajin fell silent. She backed off, and in the dark cave, she closed her eyes and pondered. Soon she nodded with a sad expression. "I see." She seemed to have reached an understanding as she spoke with confidence. "I understand now." I looked at her. She looked content and was staring at me as if I were a comrade. "I understand why Iron sent you to me." Just like that, she took the bait.
Chapter 320, Republic of Leoris. Beyond the Demon Realm Gate lay a world shrouded in mystery. On the continent of Kruni, 3 kingdoms and 1 republic stood. In this unfortunate world, soon to be destroyed, Kim Suho served as the sword commander of the republic. So you're saying that Baal is going to destroy this world? Inside the sword commander's office, Aileen, dressed in a somewhat worn-out uniform, questioned Kim Suho. In this world, she was a maid to a high-ranking politician of the republic. That's right. And we have to stop Baal to pass the gate's test? Yes, exactly. Kim Suho nodded and handed Aileen a book. Aileen frowned as soon as she saw it. "It's an item I got as a reward for clearing a quest." "Quest? Oh right, I have a quest too. What was your quest?" "I had to enlighten the president's daughter in the way of the sword." "What kind of quest is that?" Aileen grumbled and took the book. The words, "Summary of the Past and the Future to Come," were written across its front cover. But when she opened the book, her face twisted into a frown. The pages were all blank. "What the heck? I don't see anything." "Huh?" Kim Suho's eyes widened in surprise, but he quickly understood. "I guess I'm the only one who can read it." "What? Why?" "Here, let me read you the most important chapters." Kim Suho began to recite the book slowly so Aileen could follow. First of all, this world is also currently undergoing Demon Realm transformation. Fortunately, the people here discovered a type of ore called purification crystal which has slowed the process. Devil hunters? Aileen's eyes widened. Yes, they're humans who are especially strong against devils. Devil hunters can inflict deadly damage to devils whether the devil has descended or remains in an incarnation body. According to the book, the devil hunters of this world had already killed a total of 8 devils. Aileen shrugged. "Well, to me it sounds like stopping Baal would be awfully easy then." "No, the next part is the important part." Kim Suho read the next paragraph out loud. "As the damage continued to escalate, the devils decided to stir up divisions among humans. Baal possessed the prince of Arenheim and ousted the clan of Leon, whose members had been devil hunters for generations. The eldest daughter of the Leon clan, Hajin von Leon, tried to escape to the Republic but failed and was murdered. 2 months later, Baal descended. Baal, the strongest devil of all. Without the protection of the devil hunters, the world crumbled easily before the malicious god's overwhelming force." "Baal," Aileen muttered. "So we only have 2 more months left." 2 months and 3 days. The world was destroyed 3 days after Baal descended. "What? 3 days? Seriously?" Aileen's expression stiffened. Even Orden couldn't have destroyed the world in just 72 hours. Yes, it took him 71 hours in total. Aileen began biting her fingernails subconsciously. Kim Suho let out a small sigh as he watched her. "Aileen, see, quit your job and become my maid." "What? Your maid?"
Are you out of your mind? We don't have any choice here. The most important thing right now is for us to stick together. Also, we have to restore our power and gifts. Kim Soo-ho shrugged. So far, he had only managed to find Aileen, but as sword commander, he could mobilize as many informants as he needed. That's how he found Aileen in the first place. With the right composite sketches, he was confident he could find the others soon. First, I'm going to gather our party and save the eldest daughter of the Leon clan. Save her? Isn't she already dead? Aileen asked doubtfully, but Kim Soo-ho grinned. Who knows? There are 198 more people like us in this world. Latio Mountains, the peak of Plorion. We reached the peak of Plorion. The severe cold of -50 degrees made it feel as if our bodies were splitting in half, but we got used to it over time. Harin and I exchanged glances, then started down the mountain. 6 more peaks like this, and we'll reach the Republic, Harin said, leaving footprints in the white snow. I replied sarcastically, Thank God. Hang in there. Harin gave a small smile. She seemed much more comfortable around me after the incident in the cave. Oh, and then, the one who murdered your family was probably a djinn, not a devil. Harin whispered, walking closely behind me. Her tone was cautious. I glanced at Harin. You've been thinking about what I said this whole time? Of course I was. How could I not be? Harin smiled, and I kept walking. The descent was much easier than the climb. After 3 hours, I could feel the cold fading. Wild boars, hawks, and monsters like yetis began to appear, but Harin and I hunted them with our sword and crossbow. The boars and hawks were especially good for food, and we stored them in Harin's spatial pocket. Wait! When we reached the midpoint, I sensed a faint presence. Someone was spying on us, definitely not a monster or a passerby. Who would climb this mountain voluntarily? There was only one conclusion. Take out your sword. Harin obeyed. Sssst! The sound of metal against the sheath rang out. I took out my crossbow and fitted a bolt to the string. Keek! The sound of the bolt and string rubbing together echoed. There were no secrets in a place as quiet and open as this mountain range. Just as we noticed their presence, the enemies must have sensed our hostility. Then, 6 assassins in white robes jumped out from below the snow-covered hills and above the barren trees. Their target was clearly us. It's Icarus, Harin muttered, glaring at the enemies. She sounded angry and troubled. Icarus? What's that? They're a group of assassins who work for Aran-An's royal family in secret. Looks like they've been waiting for us. Huh. I nodded and looked at the assassins surrounding us. In my current state, it would be hard to handle all of them. At that moment, a strange thing happened. One of the assassins looked at me and began to tremble. Confused, I turned my gaze to the assassin. She was too small to be a man and had black hair poking out of her robe. Finally, she called my name. Kim Soo-ho? Huh? My eyes widened. I saw through the assassin's robe. The woman underneath, her eyes sparkling like obsidian in surprise, was none other than Boss. Boss? Yes, it's me. She nodded hastily, and 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps slowly approached me. The other assassins looked bewildered, clearly having no idea what was happening. When Boss got close enough, I whispered in her ear, What are you doing here? I don't know. I was with them when I woke up. Ah, really? Boss probably became an assassin the same way I became an F-rank sharpshooter. I glanced at the assassins over Boss's shoulder. They were still frozen in confusion.
What's going on? Have you been working with them this whole time? Harin yelled in shock. Huh? Oh, of course not. I'm on your side. I shook my head and pulled Boss toward me. The fight just went from 2 against 6 to 3 against 5. Now things felt more balanced. Boss? I whispered. Could you take care of them? Boss nodded with a smirk. Of course. How much of your abilities have you recovered? I've still got a ways to go, but... Suddenly, a dark shadow rose from behind Boss. The shadow turned into sharp blades resembling spider legs. I can take care of them. The shadow blades flew toward the assassins, who stepped back in shock. Only the leader came forward. Aiken, just what are you doing? My name is not Aiken. Boss had no intention of listening. Shrock! She wielded her shadow, and the blade swiftly pierced the assassins. Shrock! Scarlet blood splattered on the snow. Watching the scene, Harin dropped her sword by mistake. A campsite on Plorion, 1,300 meters above sea level. We decided to rest before moving on to the second mountain, Lokio. The tent was stored in Harin's spatial pocket, and it was my job to set it up. How do you two know each other? You called her boss? Were you in the same squad? Inside the cozy tent, Harin looked at me and boss in turn. I could only shrug. She's a friend of mine from home. Don't worry, she'll be a great addition to our team. Despite my assurance, Harin still looked uneasy. I glanced at boss, and she put her hand on Harin's shoulder. Worry not. I'll protecteth thee. Why was she talking like that? I suppressed my laughter. Harin frowned in suspicion, but soon nodded with a sigh. It's not like I have a choice. I'm tired. Let's get some rest, she said bitterly and lay down. Boss pointed at Harin and mouthed a silent question. Who is this woman? I answered, an important client. She's a devil hunter. Devil hunter? Yes, I'll explain later. Enough with the silent conversation, I said with a smile. We should get some sleep too. I was exhausted, which is only natural after climbing a 5,000-meter mountain in 3 days. Okay. Boss nodded and I lay down. With a big yawn, I closed my eyes. Shh! Shh! Shortly after, I heard a sound. I opened my eyes and saw Boss spreading her blanket, getting ready to lie down next to me. Ah! Our eyes met, and we stared at each other in silence. Boss was the first to cough and say, There's not much space. Zzz, zzz. At that moment, we heard Harin snoring. I glanced at Harin to make sure she was asleep and nodded. Yeah, well, it's okay. Please lie down. I'm going to let it slide this time. Slide? Well, then. Slightly bothered by my choice of words, Boss lay down next to me sulkily. The tent was very small, and our shoulders touched as we lay side by side. 10 minutes passed in absolute stillness. I was tired, but couldn't sleep. I turned to my side. There, Boss lay straight like a vampire in a coffin, her eyes closed. Boss, are you sleeping? No answer. She seemed to have fallen asleep as soon as she lay down, even though she once said she didn't need sleep. With a smile, I stared at Boss. Was it because I hadn't seen her for so long? Or maybe because I met her in such an unexpected place? She looked prettier tonight than usual. I slowly reached for her hair, brushing the soft, silky strands with my hand. Still no response. I proceeded to pinch her cheek. Stretch. Her cheek stretched easily. It was so soft and tender, like touching a mochi. I could get addicted to this. As I continued to play with Boss's cheek, Boss opened her eyes. She turned her head and looked at me and my fingers. I slowly let go of her cheek. What are you doing? Huh? Oh, nothing. It's just that... I smiled and reached toward her head, picking up a leaf stuck in her hair. You had a little something there. Boss kept looking at me, and I looked into her eyes. Our gazes stayed locked for a long time, long enough for me to notice her hair and clothing were disheveled. Then her scent reached me. I could feel her breath on my nose. Her red lips came into view. Suddenly, I was filled with a certain desire. Gulp. I swallowed hard. My heart started beating fast. And I moved without thinking.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.